So the new iPad Air 5 just came out, and we'll have a look at some of the key features and maybe talk about who this tablet is for. But first, let's unbox this thing quietly. Let's ramble. Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. Normally, I'll talk about what's in the box while I'm unboxing my tech, but I thought I'd just shut up for once and let the actual product do the talking. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this little ASMR session. Anyway, it's unboxed, I set it up, and I've been able to play around with it for a little bit, and I thought I'd share my first thoughts with you. Obviously, I will be doing a full review, turning this thing inside out and comparing it to the iPad Pro, the iPad 9, maybe even the iPad mini, and see how it relates to those tablets. So if you're interested in that and you haven't subscribed already, now would be a good time to do so. I upload at least once a week, so plenty of fresh content coming your way. All right, end of plug. Let's talk about this iPad. The first and most obvious thing we need to talk about is this beautiful color. I mean, this is by far the most beautiful shade of blue I've ever seen on a tablet. It is a color that can only be described as scrumdiddlyicious, and I wish the iPad Pro, or the Mini for that matter, would come in this color. I absolutely love it. Other than that, it looks pretty identical to the iPad Pro. It's got the same boxy design we all love. It's got an on and off button, volume rockers, and like the iPad Pro, it has 4 speaker grills. But, and this is where the differences start showing, it has only 2 speakers. I'm using the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro, and this being my first iPad Air, I'm actually surprised at how much lighter and thinner it looks and feels. I keep talking about how the iPad mini has redefined the way I view my tablets, meaning the iPad Pro has very much become a desktop tablet for me. It literally lives inside the Magic Keyboard and it almost never comes out. It is just too heavy to use as a handheld tablet for an extended period of time. The Mini, on the other hand, is the ultimate handheld tablet, but it's really not built to be used as a desktop device. I feel like this iPad Air could be the perfect medium, as it's light enough to be used for reading, viewing content, or some handheld gaming, but it's big enough to slap on a Magic Keyboard and use it as a desktop machine. Unfortunately, my white Magic Keyboard isn't coming in until tomorrow, but I will be covering it in great detail in my full review. And unlike the regular iPad 9, the iPad Air has a USB-C port, which of course means you can hook up way more peripherals and accessories. And you can even hook it up to the new Studio display if you wanted to. Of course, it's not as fast as the Thunderbolt port on the iPad Pro, but I don't think the average user really cares about that. The other big visible difference with the iPad Pro is of course the camera module. The iPad Pro has that dual camera setup and of course the LiDAR scanner, while the iPad Air has a single 12 megapixel wide camera. The front camera also got an upgrade, and it is now a 12 megapixel camera with center stage. I still think the front camera is in the wrong place. It should be placed on the side like the Samsung Tab S8 Ultra. Unfortunately, it's not, so you still have that awkward side angle in video calls, but center stage does help a little bit by keeping you in the center of the frame when you move around. The rear camera does record 4K. Personally, I've never really been interested in using my tablet's camera for much more than scanning a document, so I don't really get excited about that. I know some people do utilize the cameras much more than that, so I'm not knocking it. It's just that I don't really care about it myself. The battery on this thing is supposed to be about the same as the iPad Pro, which means like 10 hours a day. I guess we'll find out over time as I get back to this in my full review. The display on the iPad Air is a bit of a letdown. It is still stuck on 60 Hz refresh rate, which I think shouldn't be the case in 2022. But there you go. It is a liquid retina display, but it doesn't have HDR or mini LED. It is not as bright or vibrant as the iPad Pro's display, but having said that, it still looks good and it's totally fine for content consumption and casual gaming. The iPad Air does not have Face ID, which will bum a lot of you guys out. I'm not that fussed. I kind of like Touch ID actually, and I find it works pretty well. I haven't had any issues where it doesn't register my fingerprint, so that's totally fine for me. Now, for the audio, it's good, it's not great. But like I said, it has 2 speakers instead of the 4 on the iPad Pro. Same goes for the mics. There are 2 mics on this thing and they sound fine, but don't expect the same sound quality as the iPad Pro with its studio quality mics. Probably the most significant upgrade on the tablet is the inclusion of the M1 chip, and it does make a difference. It adds to the quality of the cameras in terms of computational photography, and it just makes the tablet feel a little bit snappier overall. Even though at 8 GB of RAM, it is half of the RAM of my 12.9-inch iPad Pro. But let's be honest, I can't say I've come across many instances where I felt I needed 16 GB of RAM on a tablet. We all know that neither iPadOS nor the apps in the App Store make use of all that firepower anyway, so 8 gigs of RAM is probably all you need. I love that the iPad Air is compatible with the 2nd gen Apple Pencil, which means I can use the same Apple Pencil between my iPad Pro, the iPad Air, and the iPad Mini, since it will pair to either of those tablets within seconds by simply snapping the pencil onto the side, and it supports universal control, which I believe is a very underrated feature. I've been using it a lot working between my devices, and it is so useful. It's such a time saver. I'll get back on that much more in my full review as well. Now, if I had to answer the question who this tablet is for right now, I'd say it's for you if the iPad 9 doesn't quite do it for you, but you don't need all the Pro features of the iPad Pro. Having said that, I will be testing this iPad against the iPad Pro in detail, and who knows, I might be surprised and I might have to adjust my thoughts a little bit on this beautiful lightweight. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, give it a quick thumbs up. It really does make a difference. And be sure to hit subscribe if you want to know how I feel about this thing a few weeks from now. By the way, if you want to stick around for a bit and watch more iPad content, check out this video on the iPad Mini or this one comparing the iPad Pro to Samsung's latest powerhouse. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.